the Magnetic Muse Podcast.
Welcome to the Magnetic Muse Podcast, the podcast here to support you in getting into a magical flow with yourself, the universe, and manifestation. I'm your host, Jordan Laurel, and while on my healing journey a few years back, I discovered manifestation, developed my own 7-step process, and saw massive transformation in myself and my life, but I still found myself stuck, settling, and sabotaging in certain areas. After diving deep into figuring out why, while simultaneously healing my relationship with myself, I realized that manifestation isn't so much about what you're doing as it is about who you're being. And when you're embodying and connected to your healed higher self, you start magnetizing all of your dreams and desires effortlessly, just by being you. So join me every Tuesday as I and the inspiring women I bring on share wisdom, stories, and practical tips to help you discover and embody the magnetic muse that also lives inside of you. This is the Magnetic Muse Podcast. Welcome to the Magnetic Muse Podcast, Kim.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on because when you reached out and told me like what your topics are that you specialize in and what your whole like mission is, I was like, this is so on brand, so aligned, because like this is literally what I have spent the last couple of years figuring out for myself to then be able to share with women. It's like trauma and the nervous system are so linked to manifestation. And I spent so much time banging my head against a wall being like, I'm affirming, I'm shifting, I'm journaling, like I'm doing all the things. Why can't I manifest or keep the things that I want? Like, and you start to think it doesn't work or there's something wrong with you, which is even worse.
Yeah. And I love this. And this is why we're connecting, because we have to get this message out. And it's so important because it's when you're a version of yourself that is looking for a quick fix, meaning, oh, let me just affirm and I'll feel better. It's understanding that that's a place to start, but it's not the final destination, because when you have a history in your love life where you have felt unworthy, where your childhood experiences have been imprinted and programmed in you to feel safe and actually thrive in chaos and expect chaos and not understand what consistent feel good, safe love is, affirming isn't going to change it. And most women give up because they start affirming and thinking the new thoughts, oh, I'm loved, I'm worthy, I'm this, I'm that, but they feel insecure. They're triggered all the time in their love life. They're still getting like the same dominant results of the person who's being inconsistent, who's, not wanting to support them in any way and giving them anything they want in their love life. And they're like, this doesn't work. And it's like, no, it does. It's just, you're gaslighting yourself because you're not dealing with the real issue and rewiring the body and the mind at the same time.
Yeah, because you can tell yourself till the cows come home that you're worthy of a stable, consistent love. But if your nervous system thinks that's unsafe because it's so unfamiliar to it, you're going to keep pushing it away. You're going to
Yes.
you won't even see it sometimes if it's in front of you.
Yes. I love that because it's so true. And so many women don't get that. They're like, but no, if he just chooses me, then I'll feel good. Then everything will be okay. And it's like, no, baby girl, you're not even going to want that consistent love. You're going to pick it apart. Like you said, push it away and do something to ultimately reject it because you've never experienced it.
Yeah. And it leads to, it took me a while to, and I love that you said shortcut because it really is. And it is helpful. Like, I think it was the starting point for me, and look at where I am now. Like, it got me into this stuff, but you're right that a lot of people aren't as intense as I am, and stubborn. Aries, Virgo rising, Scorpio moon. Like, I am so intense. And for me, it was like, I will figure this stuff out. It takes me the rest of my life. I will figure out why I keep choosing avoidant men, why I keep settling for less than what I deserve, why I'm triggered all the time, like why I can't manifest more. And so I spent so much time digging into it, but it really was doing that deep inner healing and building that secure attachment with myself that shifted things for me. And you can't shortcut that. Like with affirmations, you just can't.
You can't. I love that. I love that you went through this because it's so freeing, like when you become on the other side of this, and it's really about making the commitment to yourself. Like I went through the same thing. Like I was like, whoa, this is me. I'm the one showing up in these relationships. This is my love life. I don't like who I am in it. I always feel insecure. I keep getting the same guy with a different face, sometimes the same guy, same face 100 times, like, and it would never change. And I'm like, this is like, am I just doomed? Am I destined to never have love? Like maybe I'm just one of those people. And then when I discovered like law of assumption and Neville and, going deeper into the manifestation part of that, and I learned like manifest specific person, I was doing what they were all saying, which is affirm for the person and change the story of how the person is. But I started noticing, wow, even if that person in my life started saying some of the things or doing what I was affirming, I still felt the same way, unworthy, not good enough. And I wasn't trusting what they were actually doing and saying.
Girl, that is so good. That is so juicy. No, you're 100% right. It has not landed with me the level of love I wanted until I was able to reach that level of love
Yeah.
myself. And
Yeah.
even validation externally. Like I can't have like people rave about me in my events and my workshops and stuff. And like it feels nice, but it doesn't feel that different because I already feel that good about myself. And it's
Yeah.
wild that other people, if I had been receiving that back when I didn't feel that way about myself, like even when I did, it didn't change anything. I still felt so insecure. I still had
Yes.
the imposter syndrome. And it really hasn't been until I made the internal shifts that not only did
Yes.
I get much more externally, I can receive it. It's
Yes, you let yourself and it feels good and it's so important because when they get so fixated, it's like it doesn't even make sense when you look at it because when you're fixated on the person, well, you're not even fixated on you. Like you're not doing anything different because I don't know about you, but I know when I had low self-concept and love, I obsessed about these people all the time. What are they doing? Who are they with? Do they want me? Am I good at, like you're just fixated on them needing to be different so that you'll feel relief or something. And it wasn't until I'm like, okay, if I'm stuck with my thoughts all day, anyways, and I want to make the commitment to me because I'm so sick of me being this way in my love life. And if I really am the creator of my experience, well, then I'm the only one that can change my love life. So why am I teaching myself to focus on others when I need to make it about me? And then I started going deep in that self concept work and then really understanding how in my body, though, I wasn't feeling safe. And while I was saying, I'm worthy, I'm amazing, I'm incredible, I didn't feel it. I still felt unworthy. And I had that massive cognitive dissonance. And
mm,
they
mm,
call it like resistance and manifesting, right? I felt that heaviness. And I'm like, it's because my body and my mind is not aligned. So I
yeah.
don't believe what I'm saying, right? So what's the fastest way to get yourself to believe? I think is to shift into the feeling state of it and train the body faster with the mind instead of just forcing the mind only. It takes longer.
Oh yeah. I mean, this work is not just mental. It's mental, emotional,
Yeah.
it's physical, it's energetic. Like,
Behavior, everything. Yeah. Love it.
yes, yeah. I love that you've touched on self-concept. I kind of talk about self-perception. I think they're kind of similar.
Same. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's there's so much more to it that honestly comes down to your relationship with you, which is another thing you said. I would love to hear like maybe a little bit of your story and like what was that breaking point for you? What specifically did you start doing to actually get this work to work and not just be this surface level affirmation stuff that was kind of actually just gaslighting you and making you feel shittier?
Right. Yeah, it was a long journey, right? Like I grew up in foster care. I had definite abandonment issues. I was a trauma therapist and I was dating all these men who were so unhealed and wounded just like I was, but I kept believing they were the problem. And kept looking outside of myself to, well, they need to make me feel like I matter. They need to prioritize me. How come he's not doing that? Right? And I saw this pattern over and over again. And I started slowly waking up where I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the common denominator here. What's going on? And then I came into the Neville community and started learning about law of assumption and self concept, which was really powerful because I started really understanding, oh, this is why I'm triggered in love because nobody was really explaining that. At least it wasn't resonating with me. And so when I started looking and understanding and diving in deeper into me, I started really noticing and I did like a reverse inventory of who I've been in my love life, like all my relationships, like back to when I was married at like 19. So even way back then. And I was like, oh my God, I'm insecure and I don't know I'm good enough. And it was the same, I felt the same way all the time, whether I was married, whether they were asking me to move in with them, whether they were giving me whatever, like all the things I wanted, I still felt unworthy, insecure, and not good enough. And then when they weren't giving me that stuff, I still felt that way too. And so then I saw, well, that version of me, when I feel that way, look at all the behaviors I accept from them. Look at the breadcrumbs I accept and the way I settle when I'm over here telling myself, no, I want X, Y, and Z, but then I'm settling for what they're offering. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to fix this. So I made the commitment to me. So at first, I did what I think everyone does is I still was affirming about the other person. He loves me. He's obsessed with me. He's going to, do everything he can to be with me. And I went down the superficial route because I'm like, yeah, I'll just get them to change. I'll change them with my thoughts. And I was getting the person showing up different, but I still felt unworthy. I could not accept when he was coming in consistent because I wasn't used to it. I was like, my body was like bracing for impact, waiting for the shoe to drop. I was still like on pens and needles. Even when he told me he loved me the first time, my immediate thought was, he's joking. He said in a joking manner. Like I couldn't even trust that.
Mm.
So it's like no matter, he could have been on one knee proposing and I would have said, well, he didn't really put a lot of effort, so he doesn't love me. Like I would have found a reason why I couldn't
Mhm.
accept it.
Yeah,
And
you
so,
literally can't, your brain can't get behind the thing you're trying so hard to manifest
yeah,
actually happening for you. It's just like,
yes,
oh no, like,
no, yeah. And it's like you're just searching, right, for evidence in your reality to prove your confirmation bias, your belief that you're not worthy, you're not good enough. So that's why I was picking it apart all day long. And then it like clicked for me where I'm like, it's not about affirming for the person. It's I got to change the way I see myself. I have to learn a new belief about me because even when I'm getting what I want from him, I still feel unworthy and not good enough, right? And I couldn't accept the consistency of what he was giving me that was actually good because he was changing. So I deep dived into me and I faced my triggers and I did all the hard inner work. And I made the commitment to me because I said, if I get up every day breathing and I'm alive and my brain works, I'm creating my life. So I better get right with me and really, right? Like get to know me and stop running and change the inner conversations and stories that I'm believing and thinking about me. So I did that work day in, day out in the dredge of it, the thick of it. And I started changing and I just kept changing and kept changing and changing. And it took like over the course of a year, it took me about a year to fully shift into this new belief that I know I'm fucking amazing and incredible in my love life. Like I'm like 95% sold, right? But there were up, and I mean, I started this in my 40s. So we're talking, I had over 25, 30 years of dating history that I erased, right? And created something new in less than a year. So that's pretty amazing. So in the course of that first year, I had shifts though. It wasn't like I was stuck that entire year and then I just changed. Like I kept evolving, but I can remember about a year where I really turned a corner where I'm like, oh my God, I know something completely different. And then it just gets deeper and better. And then he was very different, the man in my life at that time, and was committed and giving me everything, but I had outgrown him. And
mm,
I got honest with myself. He had younger kids. I'm in my 40s. My kid's grown. So like he had young kids and I'm like, I don't really want to date someone with young kids. Like I already lived that life. So, but I wasn't honest with myself because the old me was like settling and accepting things because I'm like, well, okay, whatever. He has young kids. I'll just choose him. And it's like, no, I don't really want that. So then I decided I don't want to be with him. So I let him go, which was the best thing because he wasn't what I wanted
mm.
as I evolved, even with him changed. I was on a whole different wavelength at that point.
Oh my God, there's so much I want to touch on with what you said. I think the first thing, I just love your emphasis on personal responsibility. Like, if you want to manifest the life of your dreams, you have to take radical responsibility for yourself. And it is not fun and it is not easy. But I'm sorry, if you keep pointing the finger elsewhere, but you're the one whose life isn't getting better and better, doesn't matter. Maybe they are shitty. Maybe they are doing you dirty. Maybe all these things doesn't matter. You're still attracting that and
Yeah.
choosing that. So, what are
Yes.
you going to do to stop outsourcing and creating these shitty relationships and dynamics in your life and
Yes.
shift to create better? Like, you have to come inward because we want to outsource. That's easy. It's easy to be
Oh,
like,
it's
let
so
me find
easy
the
to stay
person.
victim and blame them. I remember like the first year of it, I told my friend I was joking, but I was like, can I just have one day a year where I can be victim and blame everybody
Yeah,
again?
yeah. We need a little moment. I totally believe I have my moments where I'm like, "Woe is me," but then I'm like, I give myself a time limit. I'm like, "You get a little time limit, and then now
Yeah.
you're gonna take responsibility."
I love that. But
My
see,
inner
that's
child is
honest.
victim.
Yeah. Because this is messy, like we're humans and it's not about being perfect. And it's like, even with this awareness, even with this level of change, like you're, it's not about staying this way perfectly all the time. It's just about understanding that when I have a moment of doubt or insecurity or fear, I remember who I really am and I go back to that. Where before I lived in moments of doubts and fears and did never remember who I was. And, that was my
Mhm.
main story. So it's just loving yourself through that and giving yourself the grace and compassion to know like this is going to be a little messy, but I'm up for it and I'm worthy and deserving of rolling my sleeves up and diving into changing this for myself because there is no amount of reassurance any other human being can give you that will satisfy someone who doesn't know they're good enough.
Amen. It's literally like pouring water into a cup that has a hole in the bottom.
Yes,
Like, it just
exactly.
can't fill up. It can't fill up. You've gotta plug the hole.
Yes,
You've gotta
yes.
be whole. You've gotta
Yeah.
be a whole container.
Yeah, and you know this because you're living it, but it's like when you get on the other side of it, it clicks, you make sense. But what a lot of women I think do that gets them stuck too is they avoid the inner work, right? They avoid going in and healing and releasing the past pain, the wounds, allowing them to come up and release, the regulation of the nervous system, the breath work, the putting the time in to training themselves to feel different, know different, and be different in association to their love life and their self-concept and love. And so they just, do a little bit of affirming here and there, some visualization or just scripting or something, but then they're constantly triggered and they're still chasing and they're still accepting the crumbs and they're not willing to take that full radical responsibility and they're still trying to affirm and get the person to change while they're not changing. So they get mad at him because he won't change, but she's not willing to change herself to stop letting him treat her the way that he has been. And it's like, it's you, babe. You're the person that's letting these versions of people in. So if one's showing up that is hurting you, it's like you said, radical responsibility to say, this is not acceptable for me. No, thank you. And when you don't, it's not shaming yourself, but then it's owning it and saying, well, then this is why you're not getting what you want because you're not changed.
Mhm. Yep, yep, and that is the reason why people settle. Because I was doing the same thing, like, I won't settle for a man that doesn't do this and doesn't do that, and then I did, and, like, so many
The
women do
lies
that.
we told ourselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then I'm texting the next day, like, okay, I will.
Right, right. When you have that breakdown and it breaks trust with yourself. It actually hurts your relationship with yourself to tell yourself, I won't settle for this or that or the other, and then to actually do it, to not follow through with yourself. Because
Yeah.
think about it, that's the foundation of trust in a relationship.
Yeah.
Somebody's following through on their word matches their actions. Like you have that trust that's built on the follow through. And we forget, like, we need to have that follow through with ourselves, or we're
Yes.
continually breaking trust. And we're actually going the opposite direction with our
Yep.
relationship with ourselves, and we're going to keep manifesting worse. And
Yes. And you do. And it just you stay stuck. And some people stay stuck for years because they keep believing if the guy comes in and loves me enough and chooses me, then everything will be okay. And it's like, but if they're a mirror to you, if people in your love life are reflections to your deepest insecurities and wounds and beliefs, then they're only mirroring you. So you have to change the story of you. Additionally, you change the story of love and rewire your body and mind to have a new relationship with love and a sensation of what that can feel like for you. Because when you've only had pain, betrayal, letdown, and inconsistency, your body remembers the pain of the past. Your mind remembers the story of the past. So
Mhm.
you
Oh, I
gotta,
love that.
yeah, like rewrite both, rewrite the emotions of what you want to experience and love through your body, and then do the same with your mind. So you start preparing it and getting it acclimated. So when it comes in, it isn't shock at first because you'll still feel a little off just because you're going to still expect the worst case scenario and then the next step is as it's coming in, now you're aware, the tools, you've already had experience of shifting and working through triggers. So now you know what to do to break the pattern for good.
100%. And I think This is why it's so important to make sure you have such a beautiful relationship with yourself and you can give yourself everything you're looking for from somebody else, because that's how it's first started to shift. Because I do believe we heal in relationship, but that includes our relationship with ourselves. And if we can start giving ourselves the devotion, the validation, the love, the compassion, the holding ourselves when we're falling apart, we can then start allowing that to happen in actual relationship, which helps rewrite the story
Yeah,
for us.
yeah, yeah. No, I love that. And I think that's a beautiful point that you talked about too, that we do heal in relationships and we can. But I think what a lot of women, like I was thinking of one in particular I was working with today earlier, and it's 2.5 years and
Mm,
it's getting worse. Now it's moving to emotional abuse. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're still you if you're accepting this. And now it's degrading and you're still accepting it. And she's just making excuses. And the excuse a lot of women do in the manifestation community is, but if I created it, then I can change it. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to endure it. Whatever you create, you don't also have to endure. So it's not about leaving as the answer all the time, but it's staying isn't the answer all the time too. So it's understanding, who am I being that's willing to endure the pain when I don't have to? And so that version of you is going to let you know when you look at that, because that version of her of staying in that is still the version 2.5 years ago. That's why nothing's changing and it's just getting worse for her. So I was like, when do you start choosing you? Because you're choosing him. You're choosing him over and over again by saying, I'm going to choose him, even though he's not showing up in a proper way. So you're not choosing yourself. And that version of you is the one who, like, they don't understand that the love that they want, the safe, feel good, consistent love, requires a new them, because the version who doesn't know her worth is not aligned with the type of love that they want. It's like not even on the same timeline.
yeah. Oh,
And the
100%.
healing in the relationship, I think, is so important, because we do need the mirrors, because you can only do so much work on your own. But
Mhm.
I think a lot of women, they stay in that trap. And I was guilty of it too a little bit when I first discovered this and understood this, of like, well, I have a mirror. I call the guys the mirrors. I'm like, I have a mirror in my life right now. I'm just going to choose him. And you can, So the healing in the relationship is important, but you don't want to gaslight yourself and stay with a version of someone who's disrespectful or abusive, because a woman who knows her worth, she would not be okay with that. So a lot of women are scared to release a man, and that just shows them that their self-concept, right, is still activated of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, and I'm scared if I say no to him, he'll leave. So that's going to give you them whoever's listening, a lot of information for yourself to really know, I don't know I'm worthy, because I'm terrified he's going to leave me if I let go of a version who's showing up in a way that is not aligned with what I say I want.
Well, I think it also is showing you that you don't believe you're worthy of what you actually do want. And you also have limiting beliefs around it actually being possible. So like your brain is really fighting against you on a couple of fronts there, because it's like, and I know from personal experience, from like not leaving, from staying in things, even though I knew like I don't want this, I want this. But it's like you start making excuses. And even like I saw my relationships and the type of men I manifested get better and better as I did this work and like
Yeah.
elevated my self concept, healed my wounds and my inner child, and retrained my nervous system, all that stuff. But I still was like, that voice would start happening like, well, no one's perfect, well, nothing is perfect. Like you start to convince yourself, and I kind of feel like, I don't know if you agree with this, I'm starting to
Yes.
feel like if I catch myself negotiating with myself or convincing myself with somebody, that's already a sign it's not aligned, you're satellite.
Yes.
Like, I don't think you need to do that with the right person, and
Yeah.
it
Yes.
gives
Yes.
you the belief to that,
Yes.
you'll find somebody better.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that's a really good, important point to make, because this is part of what the process is. It is like dating as a different woman. It's a whole different ball game, dating with low self-concept versus a good self-concept. And I know what I noticed the difference for me is, before, when I had low self-concept, I would do what you would do, where I would start picking them apart. But I also was like subconsciously automatically drawn to like the walking red flags. So like when the healthy guys would come in, where I wouldn't be settling, like I was attracted to them, the kind of job I want, whatever, like all the things I want, I would be like, ew. Like I can remember one guy, this is like so funny, but I use this so it's such a good example. So I had one guy who was everything I wanted on my list, inside and out, and I was really unhealed and unhealthy. He wasn't. And I called him in because you can manifest what you don't want. What you want, you won't keep it. So he came in and he was dating me the proper way. And he was like doing what men should do. And they're interested in you. Like, I'm really into you. I would like if we could get off the dating apps and really just see where this could go. So I called my best friend that night and I'm like, what is wrong with him? I go, who does this? I don't even know him. We've only been dating 3 weeks and now he wants to take me off the dating apps. And I like cut him out of my life so fast because I was not used to that. I was used to, oh, I'm going to have to chase. There's going to be drama. Like there has to be this big, huge, 1 minute high, 1 minute low, and all the crap that goes with it. And like, this is what I did to any healthy men that came in. I would push them out like immediately. So it's so funny. I love using that example because it's so obvious because I'm like, no, that's how a proper man, in my opinion, I think dates. Like let's see where this goes, and puts the focus on the two of you, not 1,000 other people online.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But how can you allow somebody else to be sure of you if you're not sure of you?
Right.
You're
Right.
like, wait a second. No, no, no. I'm not somebody to be sure of, so you shouldn't be sure of me.
Yeah.
It
I'm like,
shouldn't
what,
be this
who,
it shouldn't be this clear and direct.
yeah.
Like,
How does he even
talk
know
through
me?
it.
Right.
Like, no, that's actually what you deserve.
Yes, yes, yes. And now when I'm dating, it's very different because now, so in business or whatever, right? I meet men all over the place. And then like ones that I typically would be attracted to, like looks wise, right? I find myself not attracted to, not, and it's not because I've changed the look of the man. It's because after I talk with them and I get to know them, I find it because I'm always observing me. So I find it interesting in me. I'm like, why am I not attracted to him? Because that totally would have been my type. And he is my type. And then as I get to know him and I discover, oh, he's unhealed in his love life. And so subconsciously now I'm not even attracted to that kind of wounded man anymore, which is fascinating because I never had that experience. I only knew being attracted to the unhealed ones all the time.
Girl, literally, it's so wild how what you're attracted to changes. You
Yeah.
start to become unattracted. Like, I'm just like, if somebody can't make a plan, if somebody is not initiating, so I'm just like, yeah,
Ick. Now it's ick. Where before we're like, oh my God, yes, this is the one. I'm going to marry him.
yeah, or you're obsessed. You're like, when's he gonna text me? Why hasn't he texted me? Well, it's like a we see it as an opportunity to like prove we're worthy of being chosen
Yes. Yeah.
instead of feel I choose myself so deeply. If you don't want to choose me, that's okay.
Yeah, we're moving on. We got this. We're not even worried. I know. I love that you said that because I think that's what a lot of women mistake, right? I know I did where it's like what you said, you're trying to prove that you're worthy. Like that's what the whole game is. It is not he's special. It's not he's this amazing, incredible person. It's you like the moments when you felt chosen by him and you want more of them and you want to prove to yourself that you're worthy enough by him choosing you.
Right, but I think also too, it's like I think for me, I noticed that also replicated, which I think we all do until we retrain ourselves. Like it replicated what I was used to growing up. I was only approved of my parents sometimes, and I had to perform. I had to be
Mm.
amazing in some way, shape, or form, and who they wanted me to be. So
Yes.
I kept recreating that in my dating life. I kept recreating the situation where I couldn't be myself. I had to perform for them. I had to be a certain way. Like being me was not safe or okay because
Yeah.
they didn't choose me for me actually fully.
Yeah.
And that felt normal until you do that work. For me at least, and I want to kind of dive into like how you help these women who are
Yeah.
they're not choosing themselves, they're settling. I think for me with that specific wounding, I had to start doing a lot of self-love work where it was like every time I did something that like I was ashamed of or was bad or like, my ex-partners wouldn't approve of me for, or I would kind of get shunned for. I had to like hold myself and be like, I still love you. I'm not going anywhere. Like you're worthy of love exactly as you are.
I love
Even if this
that.
is something you want to work on. And like that, I think shifted a lot for me because I became consistent in choosing myself with all of myself. And then
Yes.
I just, when somebody else makes me feel bad now, I'm like, well, I'm not available for that because I feel really good about me.
Yeah. No, I
But
love that. And I love that it's the consistency of the acceptance of you that you are good enough as is. You make this choice or not that choice. And it's so much into it. Like, so basically, most of the things. So basically, from the time you wake up until you go to bed, I teach the women that you have to create time and space consistently throughout your day. And it's different for every woman, depending what her life looks like, of prioritizing you and doing this inner work. And it
Mm,
is doing that. It's the mirror work. It's looking yourself in the eye, hand on heart, hand on belly, and deep breathing, and just saying, love is safe. I am worthy. I am deserving. It's doing self forgiveness. We do the inner child, the reparenting, because
mm,
I don't know about you, but I know me, it was the 5-year-old little girl that didn't feel good enough in her own family system, being in foster care, like on my dates, like, just choose me, just see me, love me, pick me.
yeah.
And she was running the show, and I don't want a 5-year-old choosing my dates for me, um, and she was hurt. And so I had to really, so I teach women this a lot, the inner child work too, because it was so powerful for me, because I realized what I was doing with low self-concept is I needed this man to prioritize me and prove to me that I mattered, because I never felt like that from my parents, right? From my mom or my dad. And so I wasn't doing it for myself. I never prioritized me. I did not show myself that I mattered, which is why I desperately needed to have that from someone outside of me, because without it, I didn't feel like I mattered. And so then I kept doing the things, right, and fighting with them and all the things. So that was really important to me, was to really slow down and, like you do my inner work, child work of, you matter. What do you need from me? I see you. I'm here for you. Talk to me. I have your back. And like encouraging her and listening to her and slowing enough down and just paying attention to her and just honoring her. And I did that over and over again. And I mean, I did a million things, right? It's never just one thing. And the
But
breath work.
that's huge. When
Yeah.
you give your inner child what she needs, she is no longer picking your partners for you and
Yes.
basically replicating, trying to get what she's always needed. But now it's
Yeah.
no longer from the parents, it's from the men.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
so huge and shifting.
Yeah, and I think too, it's when and you tell me if you went through this too, but I know when I was going through all of this, I realized like the demands that I was putting on these men. Like, basically they need to be my best friend, my therapist. I don't know, 5 different roles they needed to be in order to satisfy me. And now as a healed woman, I'm like, no, he just needs to be himself. And I'm just living my life and he's living his. And then we are, commingling together in a supportive, loving, beneficial way, because I don't need anything from him. I give it all to myself. He's going to be an added bonus as I am to him. And so it's very different, because I needed him to be my, vomit on him and give my problems and have him solve this and emotionally hold, like, all these things. And I think it's insane. And then women get so upset because they're like, but you're not even doing this or that for me. And it's like, girl, you have a laundry list of all the things you need from him. And it's like, and she won't give it to herself. I didn't give it to myself. I never slowed down. I never showed myself that I mattered. I had rules. I was like, I'll never cancel my girls' night out for a guy. I never did that. But I would be laying on my couch exhausted. And if he texted, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you want to do? And I would like go put on makeup and get all ready, and I'm like, I really just wanted to stay home.
Yeah. Well, you were taught also, it sounds like, as a kid that you needed to abandon yourself for love.
Oh, yeah. Well, my mom did. My father was a violent, raging alcoholic who viciously beat my mother. My mom and I don't have a good relationship. I'm an only child. So I witnessed a lot of violence growing up. And she left him, thank God, and broke that cycle for herself and for me.
Mm,
I never dated a violent man. Um, but her and I did not have a good relationship at all, because my mom came from a very abusive background and just really went through a lot as a child that no child should go through. So she didn't know how to parent. There was a lot of abandonment moments.
mhm,
With my mother, and just being, and then going into foster care and things. And even I didn't talk to her at points for 4.5 years. I haven't seen her physically. I mean, I haven't seen her in person in 9 years now. And I talk to her like once a month, but I understood, while she caused a lot of the pain and so did my dad, it was my responsibility to heal it,
mhm.
because I'm the one walking around with the anger and the resentment and creating a life that was filling up with the pain and resentment. I was bringing it into my current life all the time. And I'm like, I don't want this. I want to be free. I want to be light. I want to know these beautiful things about myself and not walk with this mental and emotional torture that I lived with my whole adult life, because not many people are really taught. Like, it's just, maybe I just wasn't awakened to it to really understand it and receive it. Um, and so it was really important for me to work through that. I had to work through forgiving my mom and my dad and go through that process. And I just choose not to I can't have a real relationship with her. And that's okay. I accepted that. So if she's in my life, this is how it is, because I fulfill me with everything. So I don't need anything from her. So I accept her as she is. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to change her. She is who she is. She doesn't validate me. But also, because I did my inner work, she does change in how she shows up with me, in a better way, where she's learned throughout the years, and she's a reflection of me, where there's less shaming from her and less, things that she would do and say before that she just doesn't do anymore. I just wouldn't tolerate it too.
Oh my God, everything you just said, I resonate with so deeply. I think so much that freedom and that lightness, I know exactly what you're talking about from truly healing that stuff from the past. And the way it helps you not need things from other people, it's just that added, and I'm not saying we don't need community. Like we obviously have
Yeah.
needs, but you're not putting it on a partner. I feel like people parentify their partners. And they don't, we don't real I didn't realize until I did some really deep like somatic dance, letting out a lot of rage, honestly,
Yeah.
at God, because I was raised being like taught that God would save me. And I'm like, well, why was I abused as a kid? Like, why'd you
I
let that happen to me? So
know.
I had to
Yeah.
like yell at God, yell at my parent. Like I had to get a lot of rage out. And like it's just wild that I put together that some of my anger and some of that feeling of betrayal that I felt in my last relationship by him not fully choosing me, especially like in little things that I thought were important, like it was really more about the betrayal from God and my parents that I had no.
And you were just misplacing it on him because he was the easy target.
And I mean, and he wasn't fully choosing me, but the weight of the betrayal,
Yeah.
that I felt for things that probably didn't deserve quite that volume of it,
Yeah.
like it was
Well, you were
because
triggered. It was so deeply layered, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
But we carry that and we bring it into relationships and we think it's our partner, but a lot of it actually is about that stuff that we've never healed from our
Yeah, because it's
parents.
the meaning we attach to their behaviors.
Yeah.
Because I know, right? All my meanings were, he doesn't want me, I don't matter. He doesn't want me, I don't matter. He doesn't want me, I don't matter. I'm not important enough. That was my dominant story, because any little thing, like I could remember, like, I'm like, but we all have our phones right next to us. He hasn't texted me for 8 hours. I don't matter to him. So I kept attaching this meaning, which was my belief that I don't matter from childhood, onto these men over and over again. And then when you think that and you believe that and you recreate that feeling over and over again, my God, like it eats you up alive, and you become resentful and angry and all the things that, you feel from holding that in over and over and actually believing that story. And then you react. I would react in, a trauma ways with him, and toxic, that's what I meant, toxic ways. And like do things, I was toxic too. I was so unhealed, and I would lash out and angry, and I would hurt him any way I could because I wanted him to feel my pain, which is like what
Mhm.
children do.
Yes.
Children can't say, this is not okay, I'm walking away. They're stuck in the house and they don't have a place to go, right? So they have to internalize and hold it in and find a way to let it out. And so I was doing that. I was like, oh, I'm going to hurt him the way he hurt me. And I would find these passive aggressive and sometimes really aggressive ways. And I was like, I don't want to be her. I don't want to be that woman anymore. I was like, I was just so sick of me. It wasn't even really about them. I'm like, I'm just sick of me. Like, this doesn't feel good. I don't want to be her anymore. It was like just this massive wake up call where I was just sick of feeling that way.
Mm. Oh my God. It literally, it's just wild to me. Like all these different things that like we've touched on, whether it's settling, whether it is lashing out or like acting in ways that we don't love, being somebody who we don't want to be, choosing people that aren't choosing. So like all of it really comes back to like not having healed your inner child and then learned how to give yourself that relationship and be that parent to yourself. Like it just leads to so much like, and I love this so much. Like this is so practically connecting the dots for people. Like like of course a little girl doesn't know how to handle her pain and anger, so she lashes out. And if
Yeah.
she never learned it, like you were never taught how to healthily handle your emotions, and so you're doing all you know how to do. It's from a 5-year-old level
Yes,
of emotional
yes.
availability, not a
Yeah, and
50-year-old.
in the family home, violence and anger was the main emotion that was expressed because my father and then my mother is a yeller and a screamer, and she can be violent at times too. And so that was the main emotion. And so I was very angry as a kid. I was fighting all the time. I was in fights left and right all the time. As an adult, I stopped, physically attacking people, thank goodness. But I still was walking around with the rage like you had and that anger, and it would come out. It would come out through yelling, and I would slam the doors, and I would just be mean. I could be real nasty, that mean girl bitch, and I would just let them have my fury. And it just is not healthy. And so I had to, like you said, we have to reparent and say, okay, I don't want to walk around with this anger. I don't like who I am. I don't like how I make myself feel. And I'm the only one that can change it. So what the hell do I need to do? And let me start doing it. And I did. And I had to work through that and heal that. And now, I mean, I'm human. Like, I have a moment where I get mad or angry, especially around that time of month. Like, forget it. I'm like, ooh, but it's so unfamiliar to me now that when I feel it, I'm so sensitive to it because I don't like it. And it's not my dominant emotion that I was like, all right, you're hormonal, babe. You're allowed. Just breathe. And I do my somatic work so that
Mm.
I'm not like festering it and growing it inside of me.
What somatic work do you do?
So I like to do shaking a lot. I love that because I just think it's easy and I can kind of do it anywhere. So I just stand and shake. You can stand up or stuff like this. I also like to do I like to do a lot of power poses.
Ooh,
Yeah,
really?
like in
Talk
front
to
of
me
my
about
okay, so I do the Cleopatra. Like, I always think of like a goddess or like a powerful Egyptian woman with like the elongated neck and spine. So I'll do a thing where I just kind of see her in my mind and I elongate my spine.
this.
Yes, yes.
I think
And then I
doing
stick my hand out and I'm like, and I just feel, yeah. So I just tap into like that vibe of a powerful, like leader woman goddess, right? Or I
mm,
have like walk in mirrors or, uh, the big mirrors in my office. So I'll stand in front of a mirror and I'll like do that power pose, or I'll do the Wonder Woman because I've done this so much that like when I stand in the Wonder Woman pose, like
mhm.
this, right? It just automatically takes me to her that I used to watch as a kid with her little thing on, and she was this strong, beautiful, powerful woman, and I just feel that immediately and it just snaps me out of it. So I like to do stuff like that, but I do a lot of deep breathing. Um, and I just do things to kind of ground me if I'm feeling like triggered and I need a little extra just to get out of that part of my brain and take me back to the present so I can get out of whatever the trauma loop my brain wants to get stuck on. So that's what I like to do. What do you do?
I love that. When I start to find myself be triggered, I'm like, I try to take alone time and just check in and be like, okay, babe, what's going on? It's usually my inner child that's freaking out. Like
Yeah.
she's afraid, she's hurt, whatever. It's usually she's afraid of something, like not getting the love she needs, not being good enough, everything crashing and burning around her. Like it's usually some fear. And so I check in and I'm just like, okay, what's going on? What are we afraid of? And then sometimes I'll do things to regulate like my body, like I'll do tapping.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do dance, like I'll dance out the emotion. And then I will oftentimes journal just to try to get everything out, like what's really going on in here that needs to be dealt with, look at it. And a lot of the time it's just my inner little girl is just afraid, like that actually she's got it all wrong and like she's going to get punished by God. Like it's a lot of like still some religious trauma. And like I'll just hold her and be like, I'm so sorry you're afraid, but like look how everything has been working out, and just soothe her,
Yeah.
talk to my inner child, like because she is a child. And then
Yeah.
usually then I'll connect to God slash my higher self, and kind of similar to what you're doing with Wonder Woman, tap into like, okay, what can we do, how can we come back into our power, and kind of visualize that empowered version of me, and like
Yes.
remind myself who the fuck I am.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's so important, right? Because it is about shifting into that, and that's how you soothe. I love that. I love all those things. They're so powerful. And there's so many. There's so many like My gosh, we could write lists, pages of books of all the things you can do because not one size fits all. And it's like the more you learn, you get your favorites and you cycle through. And sometimes you need more of the inner child. Sometimes, like I love what you said about the whole thing with God because I do that. Like I just went through something a week and a half ago where my little puppy almost died, and I was like, oh no, this is not happening. And I had to take care of her and do everything I needed to do to rescue her and get her saved. But I was like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to use my power that I know works. And I decided that I'm going to see God's hand touch her and heal every organ in her body. And I told the vet when he came in, I was like, I'm only available for good news. Just only give me good news. And within 10 minutes, they had her oxygen levels back. Her tongue was pink again. And she was thriving. And they ran all the tests for like, we were in there for like 6-7 hours and nothing's wrong with her. And that was like 2 weeks ago. She's good, perfect, nothing's wrong with her. But I always connect to my higher power, God, because I always believe it's one and the same, right? Because the relationship we have with ourselves, I believe, is really a relationship we have with God because we're speaking to God through ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I interpret it because I believe God resides in me. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm always, the way I speak to myself is really speaking to him. So I speak to myself the way he would actually speak to me. And I believe that God is forgiving, loving, and has bestowed these gifts upon us. So it's my job to live in his image, which is to speak to myself the way I believe he would speak to me. And so I always have him come in and talk to me and have conversations with me if I'm feeling unsupported. And I'll do like the visualizations where I see him with his light and supporting me and carrying me. So I know I'm safe. And then that takes me out of any fear, like immediately.
Mm-hmm. I've done visualizations like that too, where I'm just like show me your love, let me feel your love, and just kind of like feel that it, like I feel it, I feel I'm receiving it, whether it's God, the universe, like whatever, myself,
Yeah.
self creating it, like, but you do feel it when you tap into that and put that intention out there, like you receive, and there
Yes.
is unlimited energy, like it's
Yes.
source,
I
that you can
love it.
only tap into and receive from. There's no shortage
There's
of love.
no shortage, no shortage. And you don't need it from another person. You just go within and give it to yourself. And you have to, you're right. Like you have to train yourself how to do this because like you said, you've been outsourcing it for so long. You've been believing that it comes from outside of you when it actually comes because it comes from inside. Because even if you remember when you had low self concept and you first meet someone and you're dating them and you're so into them and everything's amazing in the beginning and you're like, oh my God, he loves me, right? And you're all excited, but it's like, it's really your story of you because you believe in that moment in the beginning stages that this is it. This is the one. It's a great, oh my God, until the insecurities kick in. Once the insecurities kick in, then you start going down the rabbit hole, because my insecurities would kick in the minute there was a change in behavior. So like, if he texted me every day at 8 a.m. and then it was like the sixth day and it was 8:15 a.m. and no text, that was it. I was done. I was done.
Yes, no, I so relate with that one. Actually, inconsistency has been a big trigger for me in past relationships. How do you handle that? What do you do with yourself?
Well, now, so back then when I was working the self concept, I would just have to pay attention and I would do inner child work because the fear was I don't matter. He's not interested. Who is he with? It was always he doesn't want me. So I would have to choose myself. I would have to remind myself that I do matter and that I want me and that I am worthy and amazing and incredible even if I'm not getting validation outside of me right now. I decide this is who I am. And I had to work into that and train my body to feel into that. So then I would do the breath work because usually I was high triggered. So I would be flooded with emotions and just the affirming wasn't enough usually. So I would have to do the breath work. I would also script and journal. I would just do whatever. I would try everything until I felt better. Now I don't get triggered by it. Now it just doesn't even phase me because I like the assumption is, of course, I'll hear from them because I already know how amazing I am. And I'm not really worried because I'll meet somebody else like 2 seconds later. Like,
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I can relate to that shift a lot. It's been a more recent shift for me, but it's felt so good to not be obsessing or worried or not. Nothing's personal. You can truly
Yes.
not take anything personally.
Yes,
Like,
yes, yes. And if you do, it's okay. You just get yourself out of it,
yeah.
right? Like that's it. We just shift. It's just a self-awareness of who am I being. So anytime in life I feel scared, triggered, insecure because I will, because I'm human and every human feels it. I just go in and I do the inventory, what's happening in me. And then I do whatever I need to do to get out of it because it's just a false lie. It's a false lie that we're stuck in that moment that makes us feel terrified. And like you said, it's usually rooted in somehow I'm not going to get this because I'm not good enough or because I don't see proof of it right now means it's not happening, which is a fucking lie too, you know?
Yes. It helps your trust game with manifestation.
That's the second layer, I think, right? I think the first one is the self concept.
Yeah.
When you get that foundation, then you're out of trauma. So then you're stabilized, right? And you're fed, like you're feeling good, you're fed because you fed yourself. And so now I think that's when the fun really goes in with manifesting because you're not in this rejected state all the time and emotional pain. So now you can go in and work with the trust and really develop that. And I think that's when it really gets interesting and fun.
My God, I couldn't agree more.
I
Yes.
love it. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
just a game. And then you realize like it's really just like they've been saying forever, right? Florence, whatever her name was, Scovel, Shin or whatever.
I love her. Yeah.
Yes, right. Life is a game. And it is. It's just you overcoming you. That is it. It's just the beliefs. And the more you change the belief, that's why the work of going within is so important because you change the beliefs and you keep overcoming whatever story you're telling yourself or you're hooked into that says you can't have something. And you just overcome it. And some take longer than others, but eventually you overcome them all. And I know this to be true, even when I'm getting what I want, the money, the success, the $1 million home, the fancy car, whatever, all the things that when I'm getting it, I get triggered with the good stuff because now I'm scared. Oh my God, what if this leaves, right? Like it's a whole new set of triggers when you move into realities that you're not used to experiencing. So you got to normalize and stabilize yourself in that level of comfort. And then there's another level, right? So then when you hit even a higher dollar amount or the new way of doing business or whatever, like it actually starts to become fun because you start understanding that these are just all limitations that I don't have to own. And the only thing I have to do is keep going within and then it comes to me. Like I don't even have to go seek it. It will just bring it right to me.
Magnetism. Yep.
Yes. It's so amazing.
Becoming the magnetic muse that all of us are, but
Yes.
drama and the shit just doesn't,
Yeah.
help us, takes us out of it.
Yeah. And like understanding that you just don't give up on you because you can literally have it all. Like and I was kind of good with this before too. Like I think naturally I would think this way. And so with all of this work, I really anchored it in, but I'm like, I know I'm going to get what I want. So I'm never giving up on me. And I just overcome my shit so that eventually, I don't know if I'm going to get it tomorrow or next week, but I always get it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just not going to stop.
Yeah. Well, and then that level of trust, like I feel like I'm just living my best life, enjoying it and trusting everything's going to work out in
Yeah.
the right way at the right time. And like that is that state of having the thing. Like that, for me, it was always like you have to be the person who has the thing. Well, what would I be doing if I had $1 million in my bank account? I'd be living my best life.
Yeah.
So, how do I live my best life now? Like, well, this is how.
Yeah, I love that you said that because so many people be like, I can't go buy a Lamborghini, you know, and it's like, we're not telling you to go spend the money. It's what would
Yes.
you be doing? Because people put their lives on hold, waiting for the person to come in to date them and choose them, waiting for, to be successful or something. They're waiting for something to be different and then they'll go live their best life. I agree with you 1,000%. That's awesome you're doing that. I'm not doing that yet because my excuse is this. I'm like, I do love my life. Like I don't dislike it, but I'm like, I'm so satisfied with just building my business that I'm like, I don't really know what else I want to do outside of this because I live and breathe this 7 days a week. Like I just love it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I'm like, I guess that's me living in this chapter. I'm living my best life that way.
And it looks different. Like for me, it's kind of a balance of building my business while also just enjoying connections with people, with dating,
Yes.
with friends, with family. But yeah, we go through seasons. So whatever feels good to you, I feel like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I know when I see people traveling, and this is a thing too, right? I think part of this journey is uncovering, healing the wounds, uncovering all these limitations and these beliefs that others put on you so you can start knowing who are you and what do you want, you know? Because we have society and parents and cultures and families and TV and all these people telling us who we're supposed to be, whatever you're doing in life. And so I always thought for a while, like, I'm like, I don't think I'm living my best life because I'm not traveling everywhere, you know? But then I realized I'm like, I'm really not a travel person. Like, I chose to create a life that I don't need a vacation from, you know? And some people, they just do that for vacations. And some people really just like the cultural and different experiences. And I've traveled, like, I've been to Europe and Greece and all different places, but I'm like, I'm just not a travel type. And so I was like, I had to understand me more to understand that's who I was. Because you see all these people right on Instagram, like, oh, if you're successful and you're living your best life, you're traveling everywhere. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be like in my $1.5 million house. You know what I mean? Like, and I open there and there's the pool there and I'm like relaxed there. I don't, you know, so, but I wasn't able to understand that about myself until I did the self concept work. So I had to get honest with me, like, who am I? What do I want? And I don't even know half the time still. I'm just like, I guess I'll figure it out.
We're learning as we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh,
think
I
that's
love this
fun. I
conversation
do
so
too.
much. Thank you for coming on. Can I ask you the three
Yeah.
questions I ask all my guests?
Yes.
Okay, my first is, what are you most inspired by yourself?
Overcoming the self concept and love. That was my biggest
Mm,
thing because it was the biggest hurdle of my life.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that that's probably one of the things that inspires me the most about me is like what I've overcome. It takes
Yes.
a lot of work. It is not easy and resilient.
Yeah. And the commitment, right? The commitment to yourself to not
Yeah.
give up.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
and then who are you most inspired by and why?
I'm inspired by many different women. I'm just inspired by human beings who overcome a lot of shit. Because I always can learn from any human. I'm inspired by my clients. I'm inspired from women that I meet like you in this space that are showing up brave, willing to do the work, have done the work, are doing the work, talk about it, are not scared to say, yeah, this is who I was. Because I think it takes guts for us to be like, yeah, I used to chase. And you know what? Because I'm like, one of my exes are probably watching my Instagram right now, you know, but I'm like, I don't care. It was me. What are you going to do? It is what it is to be able to be vulnerable and for us to share this. So women like you, my clients inspire me because they're showing up for themselves, doing the work, and just humans that have overcome some shit.
I think it's so inspiring. I totally agree with you. And then my last question is, if you were to leave my audience with one tip on how to be your most magnetic self, what would it be?
To start a routine every day that's feasible so you'll stick
Mm,
with it.
okay.
Don't go crazy, where every day you, whether it's driving to work during your commute, on your lunch break, you find these moments in the shower while you're using the toilet, putting your makeup on, that you're doing some inner child work, you're doing the deep breathing, you're doing the mirror work, you're having these new conversations with yourself, even washing the dishes. Like I take little moments like that and I just say, girl, look what you did today. Like you just got stitches and you did all your groups. You didn't like bail out, you know, like I just take not acknowledgement of what my accomplishments were that day, even if they're small ones, because I've never done that before. And that's something even newer for me recently, where I really slow down and I just tell myself while I'm washing dishes, like, I'm so proud of you. Look what you've achieved this week. You know, I don't think women do that enough for themselves.
No, I also have been newly into trying to practice self-appreciation, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, yeah. Like, oh, that even I just felt like a little bit of release in my body and just like a
Oh,
little lighter being like, I actually need to be proud of myself for today.
yes.
I'm hard on myself.
Yes. Well, we are, especially when you're running businesses, you know, it's like we got to move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And like I lived like that for so long. And I'm like, you know what? I don't talk to anybody. Like when my clients come in, right? We're working with them, we're showing them, no, you have made progress, but we're still making more. You acknowledge the wins. And I'm like, I'm not doing that for myself. So
Right?
I was like, but you catch it because you're human. And it's again, it's just taking those moments to acknowledge yourself, to change the story and go within. Because the most important thing to inspire your audience with, the last thing is, you have to experience what we're talking about in order for you to understand your power and that this can work. Because knowing it in theory and hearing of it, yeah, it's powerful. But until you practice it, you won't understand the relief you can give yourself and how incredible this journey will be for you.
Yeah, and that's what changes your nervous system. That's what changes things actually on a physical.
Yes. And don't run. Don't run from your pain.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Oh my God, so much good stuff. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
So I am on YouTube, Kim Velez Coach. I am on, nope, Kim Velez Official. Sorry, I changed it. I'm on Instagram, Kim Velez Official too. And I have a website, kimvelez.com.
Okay. I will have everything linked in the show notes. And thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you loved the episode.
Thank you. It's been so amazing.